So, the next gland which we are going to read is the adrenal glands. The anatomy and histology is all. These adrenal glands are also called as suprarenal glands. They are the pair organ weighing 4 grams, pyramidal in shape, located on the top of the kidneys on each level of T12, enclosed by fibrous connective tissues. So these are the two adrenal glands or suprarenal glands, and they are divided histologically. They are divided into two parts. One is called as cortex, another is medulla. Cortex is the outer part of gland, part of hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis, secretes a variety of steroid hormone. And medulla is the inner part of the gland, it's a part of sympathetic nervous system, secretes catecholamines. Both parts are structurally and functionally different. So this is the right adrenal gland, little different size and shape. This is the left adrenal gland. So the adrenal cortex, the large cortical cells are arranged into three layers. One is called as zona glomerulosa, which is the thin outermost layer, constitutes 15% of the cortex. Zona fasciculata, the midline largest portion, constitute about 75% of cortex, and zona reticularis, the innermost zone. So glomerulosa, fasciculata and reticularis. So this is the capsule and this is the zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, and this is the adrenal medulla. So capsule, glomerulosa, fasciculata, then reticularis, then medulla. So these are the physiological zone of adrenal gland. Glomerulosa produces mineralocorticoids, mainly aldosterone, because it contains enzyme aldosterone synthase. Hormones that helps control the balance of minerals, that is sodium, potassium and water in the blood. This is a aldosterone secretion, mainly it is a angiotensin 1 and angiotensin 2 related aldosterone secretion. When angiotensin converting enzyme from the lungs convert this 1 to 2, then in the adrenal cortex aldosterone is released. Zona fasciculata will produce glucocorticoids, mainly cortisol and corticosterone. The human adrenal gland produces the equivalent of 35 to 40 mg of corticosterone acetate per day. Hormone plays a major role in glucose metabolism as well as protein and lipid metabolism. The secretion of these cells is controlled by hypothalamic pituitary axis via adrenocorticotropic hormone. Then the reticularis is the innermost layer of the adrenal cortex, lying deep to the fasciculata and superficial to the medulla. These produce androgen hormone. So the androgen produced include dihydroepiandrosterone and androstenedione synthesized from cholesterol. DHEA is further converted to DHEA sulfate via enzyme called as sulfotransferase. So these are all androgens. The androgen produced are released into the bloodstream and taken up in the testes and ovaries. These androgens will be taken up in the testes and ovaries to produce testosterone and estrogen respectively. Then disorder of adrenal cortex, again same like a pituitary gland. This disorder of adrenal cortex is also divided into hypofunctioning of the gland and hyperfunctioning of the gland. Adrenal hypofunction. Hypofunction is when the gland is not functioning properly. That means when gland is not functioning properly, all the hormones will be reduced. So adrenal hypofunction is called as adrenal insufficiency, leads to reduction in the output of adrenal hormones, that is glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Two types of adrenal insufficiency. One is called as primary insufficiency, inability of the adrenal gland to produce enough steroid hormones. Secondary insufficiency is inadequate pituitary or hypothalamic stimulation of the adrenal gland. So in secondary, the stimulus from the pituitary and hypothalamus itself is not reaching the adrenal gland, so no hormones. In primary, the hypothalamus and pituitary both are fine, but the problem is with the adrenal. So causes adrenal hypofunction will lead to causes of adrenal hypofunction is excess glucocorticoid treatment, autoimmune adrenalitis and tuberculosis of the adrenal gland, adrenalectomy, secondary tumor deposits, amyloidosis, hemochromatosis, CMV or adrenal hemorrhage. All these can lead to adrenal hypofunction. So metabolic failure in hormone production like congenital adrenal hyperplasia, example 21 hydroxylase deficiencies lead to adrenal hyperfunction. Enzyme inhibition, example ketoconazole. Accelerated hepatic metabolism of cortisol by using drugs like phenytoin, barbiturates and rifampicin. All these causes the hyperfunction of the adrenal gland. Then hyperfunction of the adrenal gland leads to a disease called as Addison's disease. Addison's hypofunction of adrenal A for A. It is an autoimmune disorder in which there is a destruction of the gland by the autoantibodies isolated or associated with other autoimmune diseases, presence with tiredness, weight loss, skin pigmentation. Aldosterone and cortisols are low, high adrenocorticotropic hormone and high renin. When aldosterone is more, sodium will be definitely low and potassium will be high. ACTH stimulation test is done, adrenal antibodies are present. Treatment is supply with these hormones externally. It is cortisol and aldosterone treatment can be given. So Addison disease is the primary hypoaldosteronism. Progressive destruction of entire adrenal cortex, usually autoimmune based. Most likely the result of cytotoxic T lymphocytes, although 50% of the patients have circulating adrenal antibodies. The common clinical features are tiredness, weakness, lethargy, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, hyponatremia, hyperkalemia, hypercalcemia, conversion, dizziness, postural hypertension, hypoglycemia and depression. So all these are the clinical features of Addison's disease. Hyperpigmentation, pigmentation in the knuckles. Then pigmentation of the oral cavity. Then there is one more adrenal hyperfunction is called as adrenal crisis, in which acute adrenal insufficiency, which is a medical emergency, acute in onset, can be fatal if not treated promptly, recognized and treated. Clinical features will be severe hypovolemia, dehydration, shock, hypoglycemia, possible mental confusion and loss of consciousness. This adrenal crisis is precipitated by stress in the form of infection, trauma, surgery in patients with incipient adrenal failure treated with glucocorticoids if dosage is not increased. Sometimes adrenal hemorrhage due to anticoagulant treatment or meningococcus septicemia, this is a bacterial infection, can lead to investigations in the case of this adrenal insufficiency is estimation of plasma cortisol concentration. That is, if less than 50 nm, then it is adrenal hypofunction. Then we have a lot of other tests for the confirmation like ACTH stimulation test, measurement of plasma ACTH, Metrapone test, CRS stimulation test, plasma renin and aldosterone levels. All these levels will be decreased in adrenal hypofunction. Addison's disease and acute adrenal crisis. So management will be hormone replacement. Secondary adrenocortical insufficiency is also hormone replacement. May also require more definitive treatment, that is surgical removal of pituitary tumor. If that is having due to tumor something, we remove the tumor, then this can treat the adrenocortical insufficiency. Adrenal crisis, again it is a acute resuscitation, IV fluid, glucose, hydrocortisone, all these are important. Now next is adrenal hyperfunction. Hyperfunction is increased function, that is high cortisols. Hyperaldosteronism and high aldosteronism leads to pheochromocytoma due to high catecholamines. So hyperaldosteronism is a medical condition where too much of aldosterone is produced by the adrenal gland, which can lead to sodium retention and potassium loss. Sodium retention leads to hypertension. So in this we have two types, primary hyperaldosteronism and secondary hyperaldosteronism. Primary hyperaldosteronism is also called as Conn syndrome. In Conn syndrome, characterized by autonomous excessive production of aldosterone by the adrenal gland. Patient present with hypertension, hypokalemic alkalosis and renal potassium wasting. Causes could be adrenal adenoma, tumor in the adrenal gland can lead to increased secretion of aldosterone, bilateral hypertrophy of zona glomerulosa cells. Sometimes adrenal carcinoma can lead to increase in the aldosterone. Secondary aldosterone is increased adrenal production of aldosterone in response to non-pituitary extra-adrenal stimuli. Due to it can be due to increased renin secretion called as hypereninemic hyperaldosteronism, because renin and aldosterone both are linked. If more renin is secreted from the kidney, more aldosterone will be secreted from the adrenal gland, and it is more common than the primary aldosteronism. Secondary aldosteronism is mainly due to congestive cardiac failure, liver cirrhosis, ascites, nephrotic syndrome. Less commonly it causes renal artery stenosis, sodium losing nephritis, renin secreting tumors. Clinical features mainly it causes hypertension, aldosterone induced sodium retention with increased ECF volume, muscle weakness due to decreased potassium, muscle paralysis, severe hypokalemia, latent tetania and paresthesias, polydipsia, polyuria and oxyuria due to hypokalemic nephropathy. All these are the clinical features of Conn syndrome. Conn syndrome is hyperaldosteronism. Investigations, you do the sodium study, potassium study and blood gas analysis, where you can see hypernatremia, hypokalemia, alkalosis, urinary potassium loss more than 30 millimole daily due to hypokalemia. So treatment is surgical removal of the tumor. If bilateral adrenal hyperplasia is seen, give the drug spironolactone. Then in adrenal again in adrenal hyperfunction, one more disorder occurs due to increase in ACTH, already discussed in pituitary, that is Cushing syndrome. When the ACTH increases more from the adrenal gland. Adrenal cortical hyperfunction, any condition resulting from overproduction of primary glucocorticoid, that is cortisol. Mineralocorticoid and androgens may also be excessive. Appears Cushingnoid and have some biochemical abnormalities of the true Cushing disease. It causes severe depression, alcoholism, obesity, polycystic ovarian syndromes. Etiology will be excessive cortisol, ACTH dependent 75%, pituitary disease mainly. That is due to adenoma and hyperplasia. Second one is due to ectopic ACTH syndrome. That is some other ectopic organs can also secrete ACTH, leads to Cushing syndrome like malignancies in the lung, bronchus, thymus, pancreas, ectopic CRH syndrome, exogenous ACTH administration. All these can lead to Cushing's disease. In ACTH secretion is increased. Pituitary insensitive to feedback by normal levels of cortisol. Higher levels of cortisol is required to produce negative feedback effect of ACTH secretions. Ectopic ACTH secretion from other glands other than the pituitary. So the clinical features will be already discussed, that is the obesity, facial obesity, buffalo hump, abdominal obesity and the purple striae. Hirsutism, menstrual irregularity, skin pigmentation, all these are the additional clinical features of Cushing syndrome. Hypertension, glucose intolerance, muscle weakness and wasting, back pain, psychiatric disturbances. So these are the features of Cushing syndrome. Addition, enlarged moon face, cardiac hypertrophy, buffalo hump, obesity, adrenal hyperplasia, thin and wrinkled skin, abdominal striae, also called as purple striae, amenorrhea, muscle weakness, purpura, skin ulcers. All these are seen. When you do the laboratory investigation in Cushing syndrome, you have screening test for identification of Cushing syndrome, the demonstration of high plasma cortisol level and identification of the cause. So depending on Cushing syndrome, depends on etiology. If it is adrenal adenoma, surgical removal. If it is adrenal carcinoma, resection. If it is Cushing's disease due to pituitary problem, transsphenoidal hyposectomy, that is removal of the pituitary. If it is due to drugs, give the drugs to block the cortisol synthesis. The next comes the tumors of adrenal gland. So say it is same like a pituitary, like we read about the hyperfunction. What will happen if adrenal gland starts hyperfunctioning? What will happen if adrenal gland starts hypofunctioning? The next is adrenal tumor. So all these hypo and hyperfunction occurs due to any of the morphological abnormalities in the adrenal gland, that is due to any of the cancers. So these tumors of the adrenal gland is called as adrenocortical tumor or cortical adenoma. Commonest tumor is adenoma, again a benign tumor, slow growing tumor, small, non-functional. A few large adenomas may however produce excess of cortisol, aldosterone and androgen, leads to hyperfunctioning of the adrenal gland. Occasionally a cortical adenoma may be part of a MEN syndrome. MEN syndrome is I told PPP. That is endocrine, multiple endocrine neoplasia having parathyroid, pituitary and pancreas gland adenomas, in which patient have adenomas of the parathyroid, islet cell is pancreas and anterior pituitary. Crossley adenoma is usually small, solitary, spherical and encapsulated tumor which is well delineated from surrounding normal adrenal gland. Cut section is typically bright yellow. Microscopically, the tumor cells are arranged in trabeculae and generally resembles the cells of zona fasciculata. Then this cortical adenoma can turn to be cortical carcinoma, in which uncommon tumor occurring in adult invades locally and spread to distant site, secretes adrenocortical hormones excessively, so lead to hyperaldosteronism. It can lead to hyperfunctioning of the adrenal gland. Grossly and adrenal carcinoma is generally large, spherical and well demarcated tumor. Cut section is shown yellow with intermingling areas of hemorrhage, necrosis and calcification. Microscopically, the cortical adenoma may contain well differentiated to anaplastic growth. Well differentiated carcinoma consists of foci of ATP and an adenoma, while anaplastic carcinoma show large pleomorphic and bizarre cells with high mitotic activity. Then we have these two were the cortical tumors. Then we have medullary tumors, benign tumor and malignant tumors. In benign tumors, we have two tumors, pheochromocytoma and myelolipoma, and the tumor arising from embryonic nerve cells are more common, include neuroblastoma and ganglioneuroma. So these are the tumors in the medulla of the adrenal gland. In these tumors, pheochromocytoma is a very important tumor which arises from the adrenal medulla. Pheochromocytoma, meaning dusky brown tumor, is generally a benign tumor arising from the pheochromocyte, that is chromaffin cells of the adrenal medulla. And if these pheochromocytomas are arising in the extra-adrenal site, that is apart from the adena, they are called as paraganglia or paraganglioma. Pheochromocytoma can occur at any age, but most patients are in 20 to 60 years old. More pheochromocytomas are slow growing and benign, but about 5% turn malignant, invasive and metastasis. So these tumors are commonly sporadic, but 10 to 20% are again associated with familial syndrome called as multiple men syndrome, having bilaterality and association with medullary carcinoma of the thyroid, hyperparathyroidism, pituitary adenoma, mucosal neuromas and von Recurrence's neurofibromatosis in varying combinations. So the clinical feature of pheochromocytoma is predominantly due to secretion of catecholamines, both epinephrine and non-epinephrine. The most common feature is hypertension. Other manifestations due to sudden release of catecholamines are congestive heart failure, myocardial infarction, pulmonary edema, cerebral hemorrhages and even death. The diagnosis is established by measuring 24-hour urine catecholamine or their metabolites such as the metanephrine or vanillin acid. Morphological feature: grossly the tumor is soft, spherical, may be quite variable in size and weight and well demarcated from the adjacent adrenal gland. Cut section grey to dusky brown with areas of hemorrhage, necrosis, calcification and cystic change. On immersing the tumor in dichromate fixative, it turns brown-black due to oxidation of catecholamines in the tumor and hence the name chromaffin tumor. So microscopically, the tumor is having different arrangement, arranged characteristically as a well-defined nest called as Zellballen pattern separated from abundant fibrovascular stroma. Other arrangements can be solid, sheets, trabecular or clumps. The tumor cells are large, polyhedral and pleomorphic with abundant granular amphiphilic or basophilic cytoplasm and vesicular nuclei. The tumor cells of pheochromocytoma stain positive with special stain or markers called as neuroendocrine substances such as NSE and chromogranin. So this is the gross appearance of the tumor. Cut section is round, dusky brown. This is showing the hemorrhagic areas, and this is the microscopy of this tumor, and this pattern way, what you are seeing wavy pattern, this pattern is called as Zellballen pattern, which is mainly seen in pheochromocytomas.